Hey, how you doing out there? It's Bob on Bob Blues and the news coming to you directly from Atlanta, Georgia. Just off the cuff. Give you a little bit of what I'm thinking about concerning geopolitics and everything else going on in the world. A little tune. I just finished cutting, and I just got it mastered from my engineer to build paradise. That's what it's all about. We have to build paradise, and it's not easy, especially living in the world we live in, where, people have lost their morals, they have lost their good sense, have lost their reasoning, have lost their history, have lost a lot, and I don't know how they're getting it back. One thing is education. One thing we've totally failed in this country with education. We have professors currently, and have been that way for a while, that hate the United States, hate capitalism, hate free market enterprise, and think America has committed, thousands and thousands of sins, and it's a terrible place. I don't know why they still live here. Why don't they just move to somewhere else, Timbuktu or somewhere, But, and they teach the kids all this stuff. And the kids being kids, if they have any respect for authority at all, they sort of say, well, this is a teacher. He's been educated. He's been given a job here, and he seems like he knows what he's talking about, and he's shooting me all this shit. So I should believe it. I mean, it's not funny, And then we got all these outside influences and influencers on social media. But, it's just the bad guys have really, really progressed and taken over our institutions. We got the jihadists coming on strong, and they'll tell you to your face, yeah, your country will be Muslim shortly, and you'll have to obey the Muslim laws. And if you don't convert, then, you'll be a dhimmi, like a slave, if we don't decide to kill you. I mean, Islam is a religion of conquest. So you got that going on with the war in Iran, with and Israel and the United States involved, and all the Middle East involved. And then you got Russia still fighting the Ukraine. You got people on the streets going crazy in the United States. Even though it's ICE, they're fighting against ICE. But if you don't have ICE, if you don't have law and order, people just go out of control. Really, they don't have any respect for anything. And so I don't know what the cure is. I mean, we have to realize, I was thinking about this the other day, we have to realize that there is evil in the world. Evil does exist. And, a lot of people want to say, everybody's about the same. You know what I mean? Oh, if they're bad, it's because they had a bad upbringing, or, whatever, making all kinds of excuses for evil. There's no excuse for evil. It has to be destroyed completely. And that goes along with the IRGC and the regime in Iran. There's no sympathy. There's no mercy for these guys. These guys are monsters. And they claim they're worshiping God, their God. Well, their God's the demon. They perverted the religion. I mean, Ishmael came from the family of Abraham. I mean, Abraham had Ishmael and Isaac, Isaac. And, Ishmael, Sarah saw the problem right away, and Abraham was, well, he's my first son. I mean, I sort of like the guy. And Sarah said, no, he's a bad seed. You got to get rid of him. And of course, that was the son he had from Hagar. And so Hagar and Ishmael had, and the Lord came down, and because Hagar cried, and, he heard Hagar's cry, and he saved them. And so in a way they were blessed. I mean, Ishmael means God hears, or something like that. I think it's the translation of his name in Hebrew. But does that mean that he hears the Muslims? Or does that mean the Jews hear, well, the problems they will have with Ishmael in the future? Take it like you want to take it. But they are, I mean, they're moderate Muslims. There are people in Bahrain and UAE who know well how bad these people are, these jihadists are, and they want to prosper. They want to live a good life, and they're more or less moderate in their religion. That's fine. But the people who control Iran are fanatical and they're crazy. They want to bring the 12th Imam, their Messiah, the Mahdi. And in order to bring the Mahdi, they got to destroy everything. So you don't want to give them the nuclear bomb, heaven forbid. So people don't realize, they want to think about it, that these people could really blow up the world very easily if they had a nuclear bomb. And there's so many ways they can give us grief, And the woke has destroyed our minds. The woke left, far left, socialist, communist philosophies are rapidly deteriorating our ability to think clearly. And we see it everywhere. It's in the institutions. It's in, everywhere we look. I see more and more Muslims are finally getting into the police in New York City like they have in Europe. So, if you're Jewish and you get in trouble, don't expect to get any help from a Muslim cop 9 times out of 10. I mean, most of them believe in the conquest of the Muslims and the right of the Muslims to take over the world. I don't know exact statistics, but a lot of them believe that. And we allow them to take over. We allow them to burn down our churches. We allow them to pray in the middle of the street. We allow them to build big cities where they can harbor and protect the terrorists and sympathizers. I mean, Trump is fighting back. It was all he can, You have to give him A for effort. I don't agree with everything he does, but you have to give him A for effort. And he has the right vision. I mean, I wish he wasn't so egotistical, but he is who he is, A lot of his theater. It's just theater to, play the game, geopolitics, and to wheel and But we can't be sympathetic. I mean, Trump is trying to be sympathetic with Turkey, trying to get them to play ball. And then he's even talking right now about maybe giving Saudi Arabia. I'm talking about Rubio. Thinking about Rubio, I guess. He's thinking about giving Saudi Arabia the means to build their own nuclear plants. I don't know about that, I mean, nobody knows what the world's going to be after Trump leaves, It's the same. They want to build a base in Israel, military base, because they realize they can't even use the bases they got in Saudi Arabia and these Middle East countries, in Qatar. I mean, they got big bases over there, and they're losing soldiers over there. They got bases in Jordan. But yeah, when they need those bases, they can't use them because the countries won't allow them. What is up with that? Say, well, we'll put a base in Israel. At least we can depend on the Israelis, That's good. I mean, I guess, but then what happens if Trump gets out of office, which he will, he has to, right? He can't be a king. And, we got Kamala Harris, so AOC, heaven forbid, any of those guys, people from the far, 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 far left come to power. I don't know if Israel would want an American base there because they hate Israel so much, They may use that base to go after the Jews and Israel itself. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider and a lot of ways this world could blow up, heaven forbid. I don't think it will blow up because I don't think a God will allow it to blow up. Personally, my personal opinion. But there's the prophecy shows that some rabbi, I forget the name of the rabbi, and I forget when he said it, probably ages and ages ago, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, where the last war would last 12 seconds. And at that time, he said, what do you mean? A war would last only 12 seconds. Well, today we know the possibility is very great that we could have a very short war. Because once you drop one of those bombs, one country decides he's going to push the button and Iran could be the one, it's going to be all over. I mean, I've listened to Glenn Beck, and he researches all this stuff more than I do. And he says the military and the powers that be have run all kinds of scenarios and games to decide what would happen if somebody dropped a nuke. In every case, he says it would be the end of the world. Because once somebody drops a nuke on you, you got to respond. What are you going to do? So go over there and send them a couple of helicopters and have a couple of paratroopers jump up? I mean, what kind of response is that after somebody just wiped out millions, well, hundreds of thousands anyway, of millions eventually? I mean, it could wipe out half the planet or more. I'm just saying it's dangerous stuff we're dealing with. And it's evil. And if people don't wake up to the evil, I mean, we're going to pay a heavy price. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to scare anybody. Like I said, I don't really think it was going to happen. I understand the Martians. We this is all talk about UFOs and aliens. I understand they've always hovering over. Often it's been reported they've hovered over our nuclear sites. It's like maybe they're the good angels watching over us. Some people say they're the demons. I don't know. Maybe they're the demons and the angels, and they're fighting their own war up in the heavens, under the earth or wherever. We live in such a weird time. And biblical, it's definitely a biblical age we live in. I mean, the things you go in the Bible, I say, it could never happen. You read the Bible, when you were a young kid. Oh, this is a crazy story. I mean, how could this ever happen? How could they split the Red Sea? You know what I mean? How could they all of a sudden there were 10 plagues in Egypt? These weird plagues, not totally knocked out the Egyptians, and the Israelis were allowed to leave. And the Red Sea opened, and then the sea swallowed all the Egyptian soldiers. And then he went on top of a mountain, and Moses talked to God directly, and he got these laws, and that's what the Jews were supposed to live by. And, somebody, if you was a kid and you didn't know about it, I guess it'd be true. This is too weird. Well, look what's going on in the world today. Tell me it's not weird. It's weirder now than it was back then. So we live in biblical times, But you have to have faith, and you have to be brave. I just wrote another song I just start working on called Strong and Bold. You have to be strong and bold and be fearless and keep the faith, believe in God, believe in love is the answer, but except when you confront evil, and then you have to do it totally. I mean, that's the whole story of Amalek. I mean, that's a whole big issue with Tucker Carlson. Oh, yeah, Amalek is Rome, and the Jews want to destroy Rome. They want to destroy our society. They want to destroy Europe because Europe is, they inherited this Roman civilization, the culture, and all stuff, and so they want to destroy Rome because Israel today sees Europe as Amalek. That's a bunch of BS. And no Jew is going to tell you exactly who Amalek is. It's an attitude where these people call Amalek were totally against God, hated God, and were always after the weakest, always after the Jews. And they were a little bit like the jihadists, a little bit like the crazies in the RGC. And they just want to totally annihilate everything, But I'm not going to call them the jihadist Amalek. Amalek was Amalek. And I don't want to put any labels on anybody particularly. I just want to say you got to see evil when it appears, and you got to deal with it. Otherwise, enjoy your life. Anyway, I want to check out tomorrow. Oh, I didn't even talk about Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is the saddest day on the Jewish calendar, which starts sundown tonight. And we fast all day. We fast starting tonight, and it's like a 25-hour, because that's when the temples were destroyed. And so much bad happened during that time, especially for the Jews. Maybe I'll talk more about it on my next podcast. I'll try to do a podcast tomorrow and talk about Tisha B'Av. But anyway, be good. Keep the faith. Keep strong. Be fearless. And don't let the bad guys get away with it. Love you all. Take care.